From Tally to Cali.
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by
Vitamin Energy.
The vitamins.
The energy.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Bells will be ringing. This sad news.
Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy. Coming up on today's show, flat effort and a flag fiasco versus the Florida Gators. Gus Malzahn, next offensive coordinator, ? And we're breaking down the transfer portal early entries and how the ACC will fare in the college football playoff. Wake Up Warchant is presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com, promo code warchantbogo. Warchant, B-O-G-O. Buy one, get one free. Vitamins, nutrients, energy, all in one little bottle. What kind of energy, Aslan? 7 hours of it, and it'll last because it's all natural caffeine. None of this dehydrated caffeine bean leaf nonsense turned into a powder. No, sir. Not that stuff. Not in Vitamin Energy, everybody. Check it out. Promo code warchantbogo allows you to buy one, get one free. We're not joking, everybody. Try all the different varieties in the variety pack, or by now, maybe you've figured out your favorite. The Immune Plus, Tango Orange. Still my fave. All these years later. Check it out again, vitaminenergy.com. Warchant.com, Ultimate Seminoles Sports Source. The 150 deal, still going on. Hop aboard, put it on the list. Ask the wife, ask the husband, ask Santa, whoever brings you your presents, to get you access to the Ultimate Seminoles Sports Source. Warchant.com also gets you involved in all the On3 websites in the network. All the premium access from guys like Chad Simmons on the recruiting side, Pete Nakos on the business side, because there's lots of business to talk. We shall do so in the forthcoming minutes, maybe hour. Ugh. Oh no, Corey. I like hanging out with you. We've gone through this season, as bad as it's been, Corey Clark. We have not struggled to fill a show at all, ever, which is crazy. I remember we were winning games. We were winning like 10 games in 2022, and we were still kind of like having a stretch to get to 45 minutes, but that doesn't seem to be the case this day and age. But before we get to all that, how are you, Corey?
Great. Thanks for asking, Aslan. I think anger makes you talkative.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like some people, I guess, keep it in, and that's not healthy, folks. You need to get it out as soon as possible, hopefully in a healthy way, just verbally, but get the anger out. Let it out, and then it's been basically 3.5 months of just pure anger. So it's over now.
Yeah. As Irish O'Fell said towards the end of the Vitamin Energy War Chant wrap, he's been waiting for this. Like he's excited for this time to start now, which is this season being over. It came to a thud of an end, as I think most people had braced for, as they fell to Florida 31-11 to fall to 2-10, worst season since 1973. Four, yeah. When they finished 1-11.
Yep. 1-10, I think.
1-10. Yeah,
they only played
right,
11 games back then. I don't want to give those guys. So this is this ties for the second most losses in program history.
Okay. My fear was coming out of this game, again, might have put a little too much pressure on poor Luke Kromenhoek to come out and do something special, although he's allowed to do that. I mean, there's freshmen that go out and do some crazy stuff despite not having maybe the best of circumstances around them, and they find out ways. They've got the special sauce in them, and they rise to the occasion. But, the fear might have been for me that you're going to go out there and you're going to just see DJ Lagway run circles around your defense and around your team and make you think, oh, boy, they've got a true freshman quarterback. Your true freshman quarterback is a degree or 10 below him, and buckle up for the next few years. But I don't think it's that bad. But again, Florida State's offense did not do anything to impress at all. 8 fumbles, 5 lost. You walk out of this game, I think, still having to go into the portal, or maybe not still going to the portal quarterback. Maybe it's cemented that you have to go into the portal to get a quarterback. But any other big picture thoughts, at least in terms of the football game and how it shook out on Saturday night?
No, I thought it played out how I mean, let me say this. I think the score was about what I thought it would be. I thought the Gators would get close to 30, which they did. I thought they'd score late against the defense that had kind of given up or cashed in their chips, which, again, I think that's what happened when they recovered the onside kick. And really, after Cam Davis fumbled at the 5, you just let him go like 95 yards, including a 65-yard TD run. I thought that was when they kind of said, oh, well, The offense gave us some hope there for a second. Then, of course, they fumbled for the 100th time. But I wasn't expecting 8 fumbles. And look, the reality is when you play Luke Kromenhoek right now in his current iteration for an entire game against a decent defense, and you drop him back a lot, he's going to be sacked a lot. Like it's especially with your offensive line. And again, it's almost weird, Aslan, to even complain about the offensive game plan or Norvell as an offensive play caller or what he's done with these quarterbacks in this offense because it ain't his offense anymore. So it's like just lamenting to lament. But really quickly, before we move on to the real news of the weekend, is I don't understand why there weren't any kind of rollouts or there weren't nearly enough. And honestly, you could have just kept giving the ball to Lawrence Toafili. That's something. But why? You're unleashing a defensive line against an offensive line that isn't any good, and against a quarterback that doesn't get rid of the ball quick. So of course they almost break a record for sacks, just like Notre Dame almost broke a program record for sacks. It's just what. You would like your coach to be able to adjust and realize, okay, I can't drop this kid back on 3rd and 12, just a straight drop back. He ain't going to see it. If there's anything to even see, which a lot of times there's not. There were a couple times where he got sacked where there was one play in particular, Cam Davis is wide open, and just as he's getting ready to release the ball, he gets hit from behind and fumbles. And I think that might have been the one they recovered, the first one they recovered. They gave them their first touchdown, maybe their second touchdown. I don't remember it. It's all a blur. But here's the thing. Yes, if Darius Washington doesn't just get run past, because why would he in his last game at home, bow up and play well? But at the same time, Cam Davis is already pretty wide open. And if you're Kromenhoek and you have an internal clock, you've already released the ball. Before, you don't have to wait to see that he's wide open to throw it. You see right away, oh yeah, he's got leverage. He's going to be wide open. Let me throw it to this spot right now because I can't expect my left tackle to block anyone. But he didn't. These are lessons you hope he will learn, and you hope he'll develop a quicker clock and also get to play, if he's here, get to play behind a much better offensive line. But yeah, 8 fumbles and 8 sacks was just the sweetest dessert for the worst offense in program history. And one of the worst offenses in ACC history. That was just a fitting way to go out, to score 11 points against an okay defense, nothing special, and fumble 8 times and get sacked 8 times. Just a perfect end to the season.
Yeah, last thing on that, it is almost the perfect ugly marriage between, I think, what Luke wants to do and what he was surrounded by. Again, I know a lot of people are going to be like, it's not fair to judge him. We've seen he's toolsy. He's got things that you feel good about, which, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of quarterbacks, if they get receivers that are wide open and their line gives them a bunch of time, they too can probably make a bunch of plays. But what I do like about Luke, I think he's allergic to anything under 7 or 8 air yards down the field, which I'm all about that life. I'm all about let's try to get big chunk plays through the air. So I think a lot of the problems that kind of exacerbate when Luke's in the game is because he is big game hunting as opposed. I don't even know if they're calling a lot of intermediate stuff for him or if there are a lot of checkdowns. I know he had like a throw to Morlock, I think maybe on 2nd and medium. That was a bit of a soft check down. He got a first down. He got upfield, so that was a good thing to see. But I think he's really trying to blow these games open and try to spark this team. So maybe that's some youthful exuberance that might get calmed down when he gets possibly a new quarterback coach. But he will have a new offensive coordinator next year. That is provided he decides to stick around in Tallahassee, Corey, because it was announced on Saturday through multiple sources, which Ira Schofel of warchant.com was able to confirm with as well, that Gus Malzahn will be the next offensive coordinator for Florida State. Has he officially resigned yet, Corey, as we're doing this on Sunday evening?
No, and so it's not officially official yet. We've gotten confirmation that it's there's been an agreement. There is an agreement, but you know how these things are, man. Until there's actually like an announcement from the school, know that there's at least a tiny percentage chance that something happens behind the scenes and it gets blown up. You just never know. But clearly, the both sides wanted this known on Saturday before the game. This was they. It's not like who was it? Was it Thamel that got it first, or Nakos from On 3? I don't know, but they wouldn't know that unless both parties probably reached out. So know that ahead of time. That they want this known. But yes, I would assume it'll be announced today. It needs to. The signing day is 2 days from now. So it needs to be announced today. I honestly thought it would be Sunday. I honestly thought there'd be coaching and firings announced on Sunday as well. But maybe they don't announce like if you fire just like a position coach. Typically, you just announce that you've hired somebody else for that job. I don't know. No. So maybe they're waiting until they have somebody to actually announce the hirings for. But yeah, I would think any moment now. Maybe after we've already recorded this, you'll hear more announcements from the coaching staff. But yes, let's proceed with the 96% knowledge that Gus Malzahn is going to be the offensive coordinator at Florida State. I've gone back and forth with it.
Yeah,
it kind of was. It was stunning when I saw it, but then you start thinking about it. And buddy, did we want a big name or did we want a big name?
Yeah.
Is there a bigger name that you could get in 2024 going into 2025 to be your offensive coordinator than Gus Malzahn? Are there 8 more bigger names that are college football coaches? Yeah, you could go get Todd Monken or the guy for the Lions. I'm talking about realistic-ish hires. If you want Mike Norvell to be surrounded by somebody that's done it at the highest level and recruited big-time players and put up a lot of points and yards in a big conference and beaten Alabama, by the way, maybe that's why they did it, just to beat Alabama the next 2 years because they won't get rid of the game. You can't ask for anything more than Malzahn, just from a big name standpoint. And even though his team wasn't any good this year, they were like 6th in the country in rushing yards this year when they went 4-8. Last year they were 5th in the country in rushing yards and like 9th in total yards, and they went 6 and 7. So maybe he's not the best head coach in the world, but by God, his offenses seem to always be pretty darn good.
Yeah, I think on a scale of 1 to 10, you either need to be in the camp that thinks this is like a 4 or a 7. If you think this is a 1 and it's terrible, or if you think this is a 10 and it's an absolute home run, bulletproof hire, like I'm not going to probably agree with you on a lot of things.
That's all. And don't you think that's almost all of these kind of hires? There's just no guarantee, right? There just isn't. Even with a Malzahn, even with a Brennan Marion, there's just no guarantee about the fit. So, yeah, I think you could be cautiously optimistic.
I do think, for better or worse, I mean, to your point, he has been around for so long and he's done it at a high level, at Auburn, UCF, they had 9 wins his first 2 seasons. Things have kind of tapered off here the last 2 years. But I think maybe some of the hesitation is that he has been in the game so long and he's never been able to really kind of get over the hump, if you will. I mean, he made it to the national title in his first season as a Power 5 head football coach and then was never able to. I think they might have made it to maybe 1 more New Year's Six Bowl or 2 New Year's Six Bowls after that. And then Brennan Marion or an Arbuckle or one of those guys has never been at this level. So you're like, all right, well, we don't know exactly maybe what his floor is, but we can think about we don't know what his ceiling is, but we can think about it. Like we could project it to be something that we haven't seen before because we haven't seen him coach at this level. Whereas I think with like Malzahn, you have a pretty decent idea of like maybe what you'll top out at, but what you would top out at is a pretty nice rarefied air, and what your floor is going to be significantly better than what you had to deal with this season, and maybe even a little bit better than what you had in 2023. Although I don't want to get too bogged down by that stuff.
Yeah, and I think, look, the last time he was an OC, just a straight offensive coordinator, well, he did win a national championship. It helped that he had Cam Newton, but he won a national championship as an offensive coordinator. Now, that was 14 years ago. The world has changed a little bit. If he can go get a Cam Newton, please do. But, yeah, so he has proven, it's just been so long since he's just been a straight OC that a lot of what we judge is his head coaching career. And I don't think that's really fair to what he's coming here to do. Now, it is fair to question what's the dynamic in the room going to be like. Who's the mentor? Who's the you know what I mean? Like, who's the boss? I mean, Norvell is the boss. It's his offense. But Gus Malzahn has not taken direction from another coach in 15 years almost.
I'm not worried. Are you worried about that? That's the furthest thing from my mind.
There can be some clashes when it comes to that, but I think the benefits far outweigh the negatives when it comes to something like that. Because again, I think, and I said this on the Warchant wrap, I think with somebody like Malzahn, Norvell will lean on him. Norvell will take his suggestions seriously. He might just say whatever you want, Gus. I don't think Norvell is that kind of person. I don't think he's a straight up Bobby Bowden-like CEO. I think he's more like a Nick Saban kind of CEO. Like, yeah, Kirby, you can run the defense. It's your defense. But I'm going to be in your ear the whole game and every day, every hour of every day throughout the week. I think Norvell will kind of be like that with the offense, but he's doing it now with somebody he can trust. He doesn't have to run the show, man. Tokars and Atkins weren't getting it done. So he now has a guy I think he has full faith in, and a guy that has full faith in him. It's going to be an interesting marriage, but I think it's a marriage that in the short term, I don't expect Gus Malzahn to be here when he's 65 years old. But in the short term, I think it could be a really quick, immediate fix to the offense, which is absolutely what they need. They need some competence around here. Gus Malzahn might not be an up-and-coming superstar assistant coach. He's almost 60. But he is competent. Even this year, even though his team wasn't very good. Again, they averaged 450 yards per game. Florida State averaged like 270. Florida State was second to last in the country in yards per game. Dead last in touchdowns scored. Gus Malzahn is not going to have an offense like that. It might not be worlds better, but he might be able to at least get him to average in a year, and then above average in 2 years, and then you're back on your way. So in that regard, I kind of do like the hire. Like, I'm not just talking myself into it. Like, they didn't get Marion, because I kind of talked myself into Marion. But I think, look, Marion, the upside, I don't know, might be higher. He might be the next great coach in America. But like you talked about, we have no idea what his floor is. He's never coached at this level. He might come in here, not be able to get any recruits. He's never recruited the South.
What do you mean he's never coached at this level? He's been OC at Auburn, as you said.
No, I'm talking about Brendan Marion.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so just using him as an example of somebody other people might have wanted. He's never coached at this level. He's coached in a group of 5. Now, he's done a great job there, and everybody starts somewhere. I'm not reversing course because I think that would have been a fine hire too. But when you look at what FSU needs right now, you need somebody that has a name that resonates, a name that rings out, a name that can prove, oh, yeah, I didn't just do all right at UCF for a couple of years. Look what I did in the SEC. Like, look what I did all those years in the SEC. Yeah, he had a couple of down years offensively. Most of the times he was in the top 20 in the country in rushing and total yards for a decade. And he's got guys that he coached that are still in the NFL. Brendan Marion doesn't have stuff like that. So, and we don't know. He might come over here and it might be a disaster. I think we know at least, like, maybe Brendan Marion's ceiling is higher. But Gus Malzahn has been in the South his whole life. He knows Norvell. He obviously knows this offense. He knows what it's supposed to look like. And I think his floor is significantly higher than Brendan Marion. Don't know about the ceiling. I mean, I guess his ceiling is a national championship undefeated season, but because he did that already. But again, that was with Superman at quarterback. I don't think he's going to have a superhero on his roster this year coming up. But don't you agree with that? I think you said that. Like, I think Malzahn in that regard is a pretty safe hire because you've just got to get back to respectability, man. And I'm not even really talking about the record. Yeah, 7-5, 6-6, whatever. Do what Florida did this year, and you'll be the talk of the town. But you've got to get this offense back to respectability because this is an abject failure. It has been the worst offense in the country. It is totally and completely unacceptable, and I think he raises that bar immediately.
Yeah, man, it's so tricky because, like, how many fans like the old coach by and large, right? Like, Saban kind of got to go out on top.
Kind of, yeah.
You know, like everyone else, Harbaugh too, I guess. Like, no one likes Kalen DeBoer at Washington anymore. No one likes Jimbo Fisher on here. No one likes Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M. A lot of UCF fans are laughing at Florida State fans. Like, thank you for taking this burden off of our shoulders. And then it's like, well, have you watched us play football this year? He's probably going to help us out. Because everything's just so week to week. Like, Mike Elko was a genius 3 weeks ago. And I'm sure down in College Station now, they're thinking, oh, we're doomed. We're cursed. We're just never going to be able to win a game. Mario Cristobal was on top of the world 4 weeks ago. Yep. Now he's lost 2 games in the last 3 weeks and might not get into the playoff. We can talk about that a little bit later. I mean, Auburn fans were ready to get rid of Gus Malzahn pretty much every single year as the head coach.
And he kept beating Saban.
And then he would beat Saban in that year. Like they'd have the one season where things were okay, so you could kind of get away with losing to Bama. Then they had the 1 year where things were struggling, but then he would redeem everything by beating Alabama. And then it's like, all right, well, we got to keep the guy around, and we'll give him like a crazy guaranteed contract. So it is really tricky, but maybe to your point, we shouldn't look at his head coaching sort of record. We maybe should focus a little bit more on him being a coordinator, because that's what he's going to be tasked to do. And what I would say is, covering him the 1 year that I did when I was in Alabama, which was like 2017, that was a year, I think, where he told himself that he was going to let go and he was going to let his OC call the plays, because it was always a push and pull with him. Like 1 year was like, I need to take control of my offense, be master of my destiny. I'm going to call plays. Then the next year was like, I need to let go. Or maybe 17 was the year that he decided to take it back. I think maybe it was the year he decided to take it back, because 16 was a little bit of a rut. He went and got Jarrett Stidham, and then they ended up winning the SEC West, but they lost to Georgia in the SEC championship game. But yeah, I just think that team, those guys really like Gus. His offensive players, I don't know how the defense looked at him, because it really was very Ditka, Buddy Ryan, where you kind of pick sides. You were Kevin Steele in the defense, or you were offensive player and Gus Malzahn. I think players really did play hard for Gus. And when push came to shove in those big games against Bama and Georgia, he beat Georgia and Alabama in 2017. They rose up. So this is a team that apparently effort, maybe buy-in, passion is kind of been questioned. And this, I think, a guy that does get the most out of his players, at least on offense. Because, I think this time at UCF and Auburn, we could say it was a little bit uneven, but he was an offensive coordinator. Just offensively, his teams always seem to produce, and that's what we should kind of maybe focus on, not his wins and losses and maybe what happened from a program-wide scope. Yeah.
And again, it's not like this hire doesn't come without risk. Every hire does. Whoever the DC is going to come with some risk. That's just the nature of it. There is no guarantee that this will be a flying success. I can guarantee it. I can absolutely 100% guarantee his offense will be better than this one. I can guarantee it. There's just no way, because as we've talked about ad nauseum, you can't be worse than what we just watched. So, they scored 20 touchdowns, Aslan, in 13 games. No, 12 games, sorry. 20 touchdowns. And one of them was a kick return. So, 19 touchdowns in 12 games by your offense. It can't get worse than that. He would quit coaching before he produced an offense like that. He's one of those guys that just he's always going to figure out a way to have a competent offense. Sometimes they're worse than others, as you talked about. And they didn't always win games. But the offense was always there. Every year, when you look at the stats at the end of the year, even this year, the offense is there. And he's not tasked at winning games. All his job is to find a way to get some flipping first downs, block people, and get guys standing in the end zone with the football. That's all he's tasked to do. And what I trust somebody like Malzahn to do is get the requisite people up front that you need to run this offense. I absolutely think he will do that. He knows what he's looking for. Clearly the guys that were here, and I include Norvell in this, did not. Because what they did on the offensive line, what they did with the running game, really kind of what they did at quarterback. We'll see about Cromenhawk. Leaves a lot of questions and a lot of hand-wringing about what in the world were you looking at. Well, Malzahn knows what to look at. Now, is he going to recruit every 5-star and get them? No. Is he going to produce a bunch of NFL dudes? I don't know.
Yeah.
But he's going to know what he needs. Immediately, he's going to know what he needs. And he's going to do everything he can to get them. And I think he's also the kind of guy that will be like, yeah, man, we're not playing those receivers anymore. I don't need to get 9 guys on the field at the skill positions. I don't need to play that running back anymore. I'm going to play my best players. He had a year where he led the, his running back at UCF ran for 1,600 yards. He had Auburn guys that led the SEC in rushing. He's okay with getting a really good player and just getting him the flipping ball. Meanwhile, Toafili, who is your best player, don't fumble, Lawrence, come on, man, but who's your best offensive skill player, got 7.5 touches per game. There's no chance that happens on a Gus Malzahn offense. He would rather the guy, your best player, even if he's not great, he's not like an NFL running back, he's a decent to good ACC running back. Yeah, man, I'm going to give him the ball 20 times.
Yes, sir.
It's better than this nonsense.
Yes, sir.
Getting these guys involved. Hey, make sure you throw a wide receiver screen to Hakeem Williams so it can be 2nd and 11. And I can promise you this, those plays will be blocked up better. Because there's a track record there. He's got a better track record of coaching offenses than Mike Norvell did and does. No, he's younger. He's been doing it he's older. He's been doing it for 15 years, longer. But he's a better offensive mind, I think we can say, than Mike Norvell. Because Gus Malzahn, even in the big bad SEC West, man, never put up an offense like this. He always managed against those defenses to score points and gain yards. What would the 2017 Auburn offense have done in the ACC? Just what would the UCF offense from this year have done in the ACC? I can promise you it would average more than 270 yards and 15.2 points per game. So I like the hire from that sense because I think it's a weird hire. It's kind of a big swing. I think it's a safe hire for what you need in the immediate. Because what you need in the immediate is a fast fix, like Norvell talked about after the game. I think his name will get kids out of the portal interested in Florida State again. Maybe high school recruits care or don't care. I mean, you got 3 days till signing day, and they haven't even announced it yet. So we'll see what that means on the high school recruiting trail. But in the portal, I think his name is going to matter a lot on that side of the ball. And I think guys are going to they're going to look at his track record, look at the stats, even in the down years like this year, winning-wise, and see, oh, that looks like a fun offense to play in. And he's going to get some guys that definitely Norvell might not have gotten. If everything stayed the same, Norvell and Atkins aren't bringing those guys in. And maybe even like a Brennan Marion or a guy from SMU or whoever else, or Tulane, might not have brought in either. Just because their name doesn't ring out like Malzahn rings out. So I'm really interested in this next month, man. Don't really care at all about Wednesday, folks. Hope they get some nice pieces, whatever. I don't care at all about it. Starting next week when the portal opens, and people can officially start entering it, and you can start accepting entrants. That's when I think the Malzahn effect, again, granted, assuming he's coming, will really take effect.
Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, that name rings out. The letters CP, everybody. CPTallybar.com, the website. Daily lunch specials from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. On Mondays, half-pound black Angus beef burger, side dish of your choice. Again, only $8.99. Tomorrow, trivia going down 7 p.m. Thursday nights, bingo, 4 rounds, $250 cash money up for grabs. What else could you want? Maybe you want cold beverages. Check. You want to watch your favorite team play? Check. Vegas wall of screens galore everywhere. Maybe you want to play some darts, some billiards, golden tea, various other diversions. It's all there for you at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Check it out, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. How was the meet and greet on Friday, Corey? I lament not being able to show up for that.
Yeah, whatever, man. And he didn't even come to the tailgate either, so whatever. It was good. It was a good, really good crowd. And I stayed and watched the end of the Georgia Tech game, which was insanity. But yeah, it was fun. It was a good crowd. Got to be. I'm glad I remembered this. There was a fan from Germany named Corey.
Hell yeah.
Who only started listening in August, but has become a big, big fan of the show.
Oh,
so just wanted to give him a shout out. It was funny. I got into Corner Pocket literally like at 6, like I said I would. He said he got there at 4:30, thinking I'd be there at 5, and I'm like, buddy, if you're that big a fan, you'd have listened and known that I was going to be there at 6. But I was joking with him. But so I felt bad that he waited that long for me to come. But when I walked in, there were Tom Lang and 2 other people were like, hey man, there's a guy named Corey that's been looking for you that is really excited to meet you. So just make sure he's a really nice guy. He's from Germany. Just know that make sure you don't leave before you say hello to him. And then I met him 10 minutes later, and it was a really good, fun conversation, like it is with everybody we meet at the Corner Pocket.
That's right. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. We're back. It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com, promo code warchantbogo. Corey, I want to pick up the conversation where we left it off in terms of, like, will this name ring out in the portal? I think for running backs, for sure. I think, a Byron Lewis, maybe an Osmain Cromah, maybe those guys start reconsidering their options. I think offensive linemen, Herb Hand was with Gus out there in Orlando. They were together in Auburn for a stint. They worked together in Tulsa. I think when Norvell was also GAing under Gus. So there's some familiar there. Herb Hand, a pretty popular guy in coaching circles. He was at Vandy, he was at Penn State, Texas. Journeyman, but he's done a pretty good job everywhere he's been. So maybe bringing a guy like that, offensive lineman, can gravitate towards that. Running backs, I don't know if it's a worry, but it is something to consider of what he's really had at quarterback in his power, career. If you want to look at what he had at Cam, what he had at Auburn the first 2 years or the middle year with Cam. He was there 2009, 10, and 11. And then he had Nick Marshall. He had a combination of Jeremy Johnson and Sean White in 15 and 16. He had Jarrett Stidham for 2 years, Bo Nix for 2 years. And, Bo and Jarrett both kind of, regressed in their second year under Gus's offense. Nick Marshall, though, in year 2, was able to play a little bit better. John Rice Plumlee was the guy that was at UCF the first or the middle 2 years, I guess, of Gus's tenure out there. So what I'm trying to say here is that he's that names that everyone kind of recognizes, but no one that's been like a bona fide NFL drop back passer, carve you up, pro style kind of quarterback. And receiving wise, the most that he's ever had when he was at Auburn was Sammy Coates, who had 902 receiving yards in 2013. His leading receiver in 2016 was Tony Stevens, who had 487 yards. So I do wonder if whatever gains they'll make in terms of running backs and offensive line, which offensive line will pay dividends for the entire offense. So maybe it's a deal worth making. But I just do wonder if there will be, I don't know how many quarterbacks might feel the way running backs will feel about playing for Gus. That is kind of my slight concern. But at the same time, he's shown you the ability to have productive offenses with subpar quarterbacks. So maybe you don't need to make that big splash 7-figure portal acquisition at quarterback if you got a guy like Gus.
I mean, you need an athlete is what we can agree to that, right? Like, yeah. I think that might be the reason maybe the team wasn't as good this year is because at quarterback, he had a guy that couldn't move. He kind of lived the Norvell life.
No, KJ Jefferson, he runs a bit. I don't know what happened. I thought KJ Jefferson was going to be a great fit. He ran.
Yeah, but he's not like he's not a.
I would say. Yeah, he's not shifty.
Yes, he's not quick twitch. Yeah. He doesn't have a lot of quick. He's not like let's just say Thomas Castellanos, who was actually at UCF
and wouldn't let him play quarterback.
Yeah, well, he did play quarterback. I thought is that why he went to Boston College? I think he just went to Boston College because he wasn't going to play. Yeah. But I think he was recruited as a quarterback. I could be wrong. I know he had some passing numbers in 2022 there. So no, I would say that I don't think his track record means.
By the way, did you hear Bill O'Brien? I'm sorry, Bill O'Brien absolutely buried Thomas Castellanos.
Yes. With good reason. Look, and I know I've talked. It's been somewhat joking, somewhat not. But it's okay, man, to talk when in the NIL world, it's okay to take shots at guys that just quit on their team in the middle of the season. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think he needs to be above that. But Bill O'Brien earlier in the week said, basically said what I just said. Castellanos quit on his team. They want guys that are hard workers at Boston College, and he didn't fit the bill. So kind of threw him under the bus as he left, but that's his right, man. You just left a team that finished with 8 wins, I think. Just left in the middle of the season, or with 2 games left in the season. So, yeah, I don't feel sorry for Castellanos at all, and I'm not advocating that Gus Malzahn brings him because I wonder about that a mindset when you just leave a team because you're not playing. That said, Malzahn doesn't need a 5-star future first-round NFL quarterback to succeed. And, hey, man, doesn't look like they're knocking down Mike Norvell's door. Doesn't look like that's a possibility.
When he had one of those, he won a national championship, though. So we'll take one if they want to come down here.
True, but he can win. He can win with a Stidham. He can win with a Nick Marshall. He can win with a Plumlee.
Yeah,
like guys that can, quite frankly, he can win with a Brock Glenn or maybe a Kromenhoek. Yeah, I mean, I know you want to aim higher than that. But Brock Glenn in that offense, if he can stay healthy, he gives you 55 rushing yards a game.
I just don't see it, Corey. I don't. See
maybe not him. Maybe somebody. I know Brock's athletic, man. But he's not Castellanos. He's athletic enough. But he, especially in an offense like that. But yes, you would want somebody even more dynamic. You would want somebody that's almost like a running back that can throw, like a Cam Davis, man. By the way,
Deuce Spann, come back, man.
Yeah, Deuce Spann, you got a chance now, buddy. But that's what you're. I think that's what you're looking for. I think they want to throw it a little more. They want to have a kid that can throw, obviously, that can do both. But in his offense, it seems imperative, mostly, that you have a quarterback that can run the ball. which is fine. Look around. That's what most teams have now. And Kromenhoek can run. Brock Glenn can run. They're not superstar runners, but Kromenhoek, if you take away the 44 sacks he had against the Gators, ran for 70 yards and like 5 first downs. Shout out real quick to Luke, by the way. Tough kid, obviously. He was tackled 21 times, which is just crazy. He had
on
21
Saturday
carries.
night or the entire season?
No, the Saturday night. He had 21 carries. Now, 13 of them were rushing attempts, 8 of them were sacks, but he was tackled 21 times. But there was one play. I brought this up to Ira.
He did slide once, though. He did slide once.
That's when that was a ridiculous one. No, and he still got hit on that one,
Did he?
and he didn't get the first down. So that was ridiculous. He's got to know better than
that was
slide
so
right
close. I'm like, there's no way they're overturning this because they call it a first down, I think, and you
Yes,
have
they
challenge.
did.
I mean, there's no way they're overturning
They
this.
went back and changed it, but it's like when the ball's where you start your slide. When it's 3rd and 2, buddy, and you're 6'4" and you're the hammer. You can't be sliding short of the first down. But he's a young kid. He said that they had been telling him to slide more. I think that's a dumb thing to tell him, period. Because what do you care? I mean, you don't want him to get a concussed, but he's big. He's as big as some of the guys trying to tackle him, and you need all the yards you can get. You need all the first downs you can get. But anyway, there was a moment in that game where I think it was on the drive before the Cam Davis fumble, where it's like because of course the first play was a tackle for loss. It's like 2nd and 12, and he has a nice run. He breaks containment. He gets out of a sack. He scrambles for like 9.5 yards, 10 yards, stands up, and like gets ready. I could tell he's getting ready to signal first down. But before he does it, he has the wherewithal to look at the yard marker and realize, oh, wait, no, I didn't get the first down, and he kind of puts his arm back down. I know it's dumb, Aslan. I like that awareness.
No, dude,
It's awareness to build on.
I know people are like, let the kids have fun. You're a miserable person. But anytime an offensive player would signal a first down this season, I wanted to vomit.
No, and I'm not talking about because
I
they're
know you're
losing.
not talking about that, but that was my sidebar to that. I like that awareness, too, to maybe also not do it. Because I think Malik Benson once signaled for a first down. He was a good 18 inches shy of the first down.
Yeah, so it's not the awareness of like, hey, it's a bad season, don't have fun, don't signal first down, because he did that a couple times when he actually got first downs. I'm fine with all that. It's literally thinking that was a long run, that had to be a first down. Well, before I signal, let me just check real quick to make sure. Yeah. I like that, I don't know, man, just that awareness and the conscientiousness.
I'm with you.
Being conscientious like that, to think, I don't want to look like an idiot and signal first down when it's 3rd and 2, and he didn't. Something to build on, guys. Something to build. We're looking for silver linings. The fact that the quarterback decided not to signal first down because he was 2 yards short, I like it. I like it. And he's really tough kid, impossible spot. He might be great with a better offensive line. He might be great. I don't know. And better receivers. Or he might just be this. Really, we have no idea. But I think Malzahn will be bringing a quarterback with him. I don't mean with him like he might be bringing that. I know he likes the freshman at UCF right now. He started the last few games. But he will. I think there will be a portal quarterback coming this year along with Malzahn.
All right. Well, also with Gus coming here, I think that also tips it to complete offensive staff overhaul, Corey. Like maybe if you bring in Brennan Marion, maybe you keep some of the older guard around to have some adult supervision. Everyone again, he's 38 years old. I think Brennan Marion. He's not a pup, but maybe he has some guys that he can lean on. That there's some familiarity, continuity. But I think when you bring in a guy like Gus, I don't really think you can give a lot of, I don't want to say ultimatums, but it's sort of like, hey man, I need your help. Will you come be my coach? And then it's yes, but I need this, and it's like yes, right? I don't. Do you think, Mike's like, hey, man, I want you to come be my coordinator. You're going to call the plays. But I think we should keep Chris Thompson around, and I think we should probably keep Tony around. Bring in your own O-line coach, and we'll figure out a receivers coach. Like I think they're probably going to clean absolute house on the offensive side of the ball if they're going to bring in a guy like Gus.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, yes, I think he gets freedom to hire whoever he wants. Of course, you wouldn't bring him in to not give him complete control. So I don't know if he brings his O-line coach with him from UCF. That guy has a nice resume for sure. He's been with Gus for a long time. Maybe a wide receivers coach. I don't know who his wide receivers coach is at UCF. I don't know what his. But what I what I agree with when you talk about somebody like Marion is it's not so much he's too young. I mean, 38 isn't young, or you wouldn't trust him to make certain hires. It's just he's not from the South.
Oh, stop that.
This is you got to have context. You've got to have.
Well, Urban Meyer wasn't from the South. He figured it out, man. You know.
Well, I don't know if Brendan Marion's the next Urban Meyer, Aslan, but my point being that when he also had Florida. He is a pretty good brand that he got to take over. But yes, and he had a really good team, by the way. Ron Zook loaded that roster up for him.
Are you saying that Florida State is not
an iconic brand?
They're absolutely an iconic brand. Yeah, no one is disputing that. 2-10 is still a great brand, everyone. But I think with somebody like Marion, who doesn't have any connections to the South, wouldn't have any I don't think there's anybody in his circle that is recruited in the South, that is coached here. You know, with Malzahn, I mean, he's been in the South. He was at Auburn and
Arkansas, Tulsa, yeah, man.
Right, but Tulsa's I know that's Oklahoma. That's not really the South, but then Arkansas. I think starting in 2009 is when he got to Auburn, 2008. Oh, no. So it's been 16 years of this. He's got he knows what he wants. He knows who can do this at this level. He's been around them. Whether he's coached against them or had them on his staff, he knows who he trusts that can go get him players. And by God, go get, teach, develop, and evaluate offensive linemen. I mean, you have to. And so he's going to go. So that's why I think it would have been more of a risk with Marion, because he doesn't have any of those inroads with not just like high school coaches. Let me have your best player, but coaches that can help him on the staff. So I think it would have been a lot more of like Norvell having to figure out who's coming, who's doing. Because you wouldn't give Marion, I don't think, you wouldn't give somebody from UNLV just the keys and say you hire everything you want. Mike Norvell would take a much more hands-on approach. Like, no, that's not a good fit. No, we need this guy. We need that guy. I think with Malzahn, I legitimately think Norvell's just going to trust him. Like, yeah, man, get who you think is going to turn this offense around the quickest. I don't think Norvell is just going to say, absolutely, Gus, whatever you want. But I think he's going to like have Gus take the lead in what he needs and what he can get for this offense. And he's going to get guys that can do it at this level. Whether they do it at Florida State, I don't know. But I will say this. I do want to reiterate this point, and I'm going to be hammering it home over the next 9 months. Syracuse just went 9-3. Duke just went 9-3. Come on, man. SMU is 11-1. Let's not act like this thing can't be good again very, very quickly. Because I can promise you, you are going to next year have better players on your football team than any of those three I named.
Well, we probably said the same thing a year ago as well.
Coach them up.
Yeah, we'll get better guys too, I think.
That all helps. That all helps. Yeah. But here's what I think. I think if you take the SMU coaching staff and bring them to Tallahassee and coach this roster, they don't go 2-10. They might not. They don't go 11-1.
I don't think they go to a bowl game though.
This
roster's bad, Corey.
They might go 6-6. They also might know that, hey, Kevin Jennings is a good guy. We should have him as our quarterback, somebody like that. Yeah. It's all the stuff that goes into building a program. But understand, McCord was out there for everyone to get. Fran Brown at Syracuse got him. Yeah. Fran Brown was a running back coach at Georgia. Now he's 9-3. And got Clemson into the ACC championship game. And did us all a wonderful favor in a funny, funny thing by beating Miami. That's unbelievable to be up 21-0. And if you win the game, you're in the ACC championship with a real chance to win the conference for the first time. And now you're not even going. So Clemson can maybe go win another one. But that's still very, very funny. It's a great win for Syracuse, and credit to him. But, I don't mean this as a slight. If Manny Diaz and Fran Brown can win 9 games, Mike Norvell can win 9 games again. Just throwing that out there. He can do it. Don't know if he will, but he can do it. It is not an impossible task. It's not even all that hard. Because you heard those coaches I just named?
Win 3 games, then you can lose 1. Then win 3 more games, you can lose another. And just win 3 more. So, yeah, it's just, once a month you can have a letdown. Just be good the other 3 weeks.
Right, and you go into the season knowing you got 2 wins. You got Texas A&M, Commerce, and Kent State.
Yeah.
So you're 2-0. So you got 10 games left. Just win 7 of 10. You win. Go 6-4. I don't care. But look around. It's not hard to be good. You almost have to try to be this bad. So again, I like that he's bringing in somebody that I trust. Look, until the last 2 years, and I know that's not the greatest segue here, or the greatest lead into a comment. Gus Malzahn had never had a losing record in his life. He really went 6-6 last year. They lost the bowl, and then this year, I didn't follow UCF closely enough to know what happened. But because they have pretty good stats, like you said, offensively and defensively, and they're 4-8, which is just weird. And they got really beaten badly by Utah in the finale. But look, man, Gus Malzahn has won everywhere he's been. He's not been a huge winner, but he's won everywhere he's been. He's built for 8 wins. So and he's good. So good OC. He's proven to be a good OC. Get yourself some good players. Go get a good DC. So now you've upgraded your staff significantly. Upgrade your roster just a wee bit. And there's no reason you can't win 9 games next year. There's no reason. And I hope he remembers that flag. I also hope he remembers that he was the one that had to pull it out.
So the equivocation that's going on now is you guys come to our field and you beat our terrible team, and then you dig up a bunch of grass and then you bury it and celebrate it. And that's supposed to be okay. And then we try to plant our flag and then you want to fight us.
I mean, is planting the Florida flag after they vanquish an opponent on the road a tradition in the middle of the field?
They did it in 18. I mean, it's not a tradition, but they did it in 18 when Dan Mullen was here. I remember when Willie took it on the chin that year.
Right.
They planted the flag.
I mean, what's the point of it? You're doing it to provoke, which is fine. I don't think Florida State, when they dig up some turf, is doing it to provoke. It's a tradition. And they're not doing it at midfield. They're not going to the Florida sideline and say, "Get out of the way, losers. We got to get some grass." They're doing it on their own sideline, and Florida players don't even see it. They don't even know about it.
It's very discreet the way they do it, by the way.
Yes.
At least now. Maybe in the past it wasn't, but now it's very much they'll go out there with 2 or 3 guys, maximum 3, and there's like one media liaison doing lookout, and they use scissors, and it's very kosher.
Yeah, and it's not a big production. It's not to start a fight. And what Michigan did, what Florida did, I think there was another team that did it too. Maybe South Carolina did it at Clemson. I don't remember. But it's like, what do you think is going to happen? If you dunk on someone in a basketball game and then literally pee on their stomach, they're gonna get up and be mad. Like you won the game. Like and I have no problem with celebrating, talking smack, any of it. But come on, man, planting a flag is just asking for a reaction. So don't get mad at the reaction. You wanted a reaction. How crazy would it look, Aslan, legitimately, in that moment as the teams are getting to midfield? If a Florida guy came and planted the flag on the Seminole head logo at midfield, and then everybody just kept shaking hands and walked around it like it was just that's where it's supposed to be. I mean, that would be insanity. So, of course, they knew what was happening.
That's what they did back in the day, right? You showed up, you conquered an opponent, and you started flying your flag. That's a tradition. We stopped doing that.
That's a war. Yeah, that's a war. I guess if you take a hill, you're allowed to put your flag up top. Not a stupid football game. But it was there. It was there to start a fight. And I don't care about them beating a bad team. It's just like, I get they're excited. Half of those guys will transfer out and be at another school 2 years from now. I mean, that's just how it works. Yeah. Norvell might not even be here 2 years from now, and he was one ripping the flag out. But, I just think they didn't show a ton of fight during the season. I think it would have been awesome if there was a player, hopefully a younger player, like, say, Landon Thomas, that would have taken that flag out and just started swinging it. Only at guys wearing helmets and pads, everyone, so he's not doing real damage. By the way, how about my man, when Norvell picks it up and starts to throw it, whoever that Florida staffer is, I don't know if he's an equipment guy, he starts to run after Norvell to grab the flag from him. It's like, what are you? Oh, are you insulted that he took your flag out of his stadium ground and threw it? You dum-dum? That was an ugly scene. But as I wrote, I thought that was Norvell's highlight of the year, which says all you need to know about this year. That the best thing he did all season, and I don't think this can even be debated, was take out a flag after his 10th loss of the season. Great. let's make sure this never happens again, Mike.
All right, let's talk about the coordinator on the defensive side of the ball, maybe some stuff in the ACC and the portal real quick, but we got to take one final break. We'll be right back. All right, home stretch. Wake Up Warchant, Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com, promo code warchantbogo. They're our friends. They're your friends. Use the promo code and profit. All right, so defensive coordinator, Corey. So if Mike said we're going to respect the process for these coaches and their seasons, and we might have guys that are competing for conference championships, maybe in the playoff, and you get a guy whose team's not going to even be in a bowl game, maybe that would lead one to believe that the defensive coordinator is falling into that perhaps category of, designation of leading a program or what have you. I felt like defensive coordinator might have dropped ahead of offensive coordinator, but still a bit in limbo, and new names are starting to float around out there. It seems like the Kentucky name is cooling off. I think Brad White. Sounds like SMU's coordinator is heating up. Nebraska's DC, who's got a lot of 3-3-5 experience under, I think, Tony Gibson over there, that's now at NC State and was at West Virginia. That's another name that's kind of percolating out there as well. Simmons, though, Simon Simmons, he's the one guy that's going to be competing for a conference championship game, and he's the guy that was a linebackers coach for Norvell when they both were at Memphis. Simon's the DC at SMU. So I don't know. Should we think that Simon Simmons is the odds-on guy if Mike mentioned, these caveats of who he's looking at, or is that just quibbling and being way too literal?
Yeah, man, I have no idea. I would think, obviously, that if it's not announced in the next 3 days, then that would mean that it's somebody on some staff in a championship game. I think that's a good that's a fair determination to make, but I don't know that necessarily means that. And I say that because, buddy, I know Gene reported it a little bit on his hot board. I'm giving away some secrets here. You should sign up, folks. You would know this. Malzahn was on his hot board a few times there at the end that he was gaining steam. I would have never thought that they would hire Gus Malzahn as an OC. I didn't even think that was a possibility.
Yeah.
So, who knows with the DC? I texted you as soon as Purdue fired their head coach because, good grief, was that a disaster. Did you see the score of that game?
66-0?
And they had 67 yards of total offense. Purdue did. Just an unbelievable horror show in West Lafayette. But, that said, he's a very good DC. He did wonders, and I think he was at Missouri and then Illinois and was awesome there. So maybe he's in the mix. Who knows? I doubt it. But, I think if it plays out, if we don't hear anything in the next day or two, I think that means the guys have absolutely on a championship team, and we might have to wait until next Sunday to know who the new DC is. But I do think they're going to – I mean, look, man, you can't wonder if Florida State's all in with Mike Norvell and then hear that they're hiring Gus Malzahn as the OC. They're willing to spend money. They're going to spend money. I don't know what –
he forgoed his buyout, apparently. So you would think there would be offset. Like, all right, let him go ahead and get fired from UCF. But they released a weird cryptic statement on Saturday, basically thanking him for his time, but not saying that we relieved him of his duties or he's decided to resign. But all that to say that they're going to have to pay full freight for Gus Malzahn. Sorry, Corey. Go on.
Florida State is.
Florida State's going to have to pay full freight.
Yeah, because he didn't get fired. He resigned. Yeah. I think there's some legalese there where they can't say, yeah, we were letting him go. I mean, obviously, they don't want to. They don't want to. I think his buyout was $12 million. So you're going to pay something. You might not be guaranteeing him $12 million, but you're going to get close to something like that. And then you wonder, man. I just wonder. So you're going to pay him. You're going to spend a lot of money on this coaching staff, which you have to, because it's better than spending $65 million on the head coach to go away and then having to you're spending $20 million to save $60 million. But you got to do it on the other side of the ball too. And me personally, like, I just talked all that about Malzahn. It's like, okay, does the guy from SMU fit the bill as a big name guy that's worked with a lot of great players? I don't know. I think there's other guys out there, but again, there are no guarantees. There are absolutely no guarantees, and we'll see where it goes, man. But what an exciting start to the coaching carousel to get a name like Malzahn as your OC.
Transfer portal looks very exciting and enticing as well, Corey. Kevin Concepcion, the leading receiver for NC State, who has been ultra productive in this conference, announced that he intends to be in the portal once it does open up. I think FIU's leading wide receiver, who had over 1,000 yards and double-digit touchdowns, also intends to enter the transfer portal. So I don't know if rumors of the demise of elite players being available in the portal, it was greatly exaggerated. I don't know if those guys are elite in terms of Keon Coleman. I mean, they're highly productive guys, and the portal hasn't even officially opened up. So maybe we can hope for some really, I don't want to say big names, but just productive players. We just got to get back to guys who produced. You cannot repeat the blueprint of guys that you recruited and you missed out on, and now they want back on the boat and they went to bigger programs. So like, oh, we get it. You said no to us to go to here and there. No, man. Who has produced? Who has stuff on film that you know is going to be able to translate on Saturdays and whatever day of the week we end up playing games next year, because that's the path forward. So the portal seems to be pretty enticing, and I'm excited about that. Yeah, man, and they might legitimately, we don't know what they're going to have in this signing class, but they're going to have to bring in, I don't know, man, 40 new players, 50 new players. So you might have a transfer portal class of 30. Are you a sicko like me? Maybe low key. I'm not that big of a sicko. I think there might be some people that are more excited to hearing who's leaving than who's coming in. I think there's a lot of people that are ready to purge the roster, because that was the talk in May and June, right? Like who are they gonna process to get down to the number? And they didn't process anybody, but they're going to be processing people. Feels like. Yeah, and that's the way Norvell talked afterwards. It sounded like I brought this up on Wake Up, or on the Warchant Wrap, but it's true. It sounds like he's ready to pack some bags. He knows who he wants back in that locker room, and more importantly, as you just mentioned, who he doesn't want back in that locker room. And yes, I do think there will be a purge. There will be some the Florida State portal departures will start getting announced probably today too. And it'll probably be a flood of them. And I literally don't know if you would shed a tear about any of them, not named Landon Thomas. Yeah. That might be it. Literally, any of them. I mean, I like the young DBs. I'd like for them to stay. But if they don't, you can go find some other 4 stars, like eventually. There are guys that are going to be very good college football players on this roster currently. I truly believe that. But none have proven anything yet. None of them. I think Landon is the only one that you're like, without a doubt, he could be an NFL player. He should be an NFL player. He might be a star college tight end. Other than that, anybody on the line of scrimmage? Any of the other skill guys? No. I'd like Danzy to get more than 1 touch a season. Can we do that? But other than that, there's nothing that's been proven. So, there's going to be some that leave that will end up probably doing well at other places. But as Norvell astutely pointed out on Saturday, most of the players that leave Florida State don't end up shining other places. So let's hope he keeps that track record alive. But, yes, I do think a lot of guys will be leaving. And then last thing, with Miami's unfortunate loss to Syracuse. It was unfortunate. Wait a gaggers. What percentage would you put on them making it into the playoff? And if Clemson were to win the ACC championship game, do you think SMU is a lock to make the playoff regardless of what happens in Charlotte on Saturday? I think here's what I think. I don't think they're going to have 3 ACC teams in. So I think if SMU wins, then an SMU and Miami get in. Okay. But if Clemson beats SMU, I think SMU still gets in. As they should, I would think. I agree. And I think Clemson obviously is in. Clemson gets a bye. Unbelievable. I think Miami fans should be rooting hard for SMU to win. Still not going to win the conference though, guys. All Canes conference. Put the shirts away. And you're going to be playing in Columbus, Ohio in middle of December. Good luck. Good luck. They could do it. They could do it. I mean, their offense is really good. Their defense is talk about fun with stats. When you look at the top defenses in the country, total defense, Miami is still like 23rd in the country in total defense. And they are horrible on defense. Yeah. And also, Georgia Tech should have gone for 2. Yeah. In the first overtime, it makes no sense. I don't understand. He is not a coward, but that is such a cowardly decision. On the road, with that quarterback, you have 1 play to beat Georgia. And knowing, Aslan,
that you have to go for 2 in the next overtime, and then it becomes a 2-point-a-thon after that. Mm-hmm. You got one good 2-point play, which they scored on, I think, in the second overtime. Maybe they didn't.
No,
Maybe,
I don't think so.
I don't remember what happened there. But go do it. Go win the game on one play, like the Colts did on Sunday. They scored with 12 seconds left against the Patriots to make it 24-23, and they ran a QB sneak with Anthony Richardson. Lo and behold, he got in the end zone, and they won the game. But not good enough for Georgia Tech. That was a. But doesn't that just tell us, man? Like, yes, I know South Carolina beat Clemson. Did they dominate Clemson? It was a draw essentially.
Well, Klubnik, just don't throw a pick, buddy.
That's crazy. Don't throw it behind him at his knees, man. Come on now.
And I was all about being aggressive and not selling for
what
the
I
field
hate
goal.
about that, and I agree with you, but that play wasn't going to do anything anyway.
Yeah.
You're going to get 4 extra yards. That was just a really bad decision on his part. But the point being, South Carolina isn't any better than Clemson. They're the same team. They basically played to a tie. Obviously, Georgia and Georgia Tech are very similar. They played 8 overtimes. So you start to wonder, maybe the SEC isn't that much better than the ACC. Like, again, I know Florida is better than Florida State. If Florida State doesn't fumble 8 times, which is a big if, I mean, that's a competitive game, right?
Oh, gosh.
You gave them their first 7 points. And then you took 7 points away because you fumbled at the 5 trying to running back pass. So they were. Let me say this: Florida beat them by 20. They weren't 20 points better physically, athletically on the field on Saturday night. They had 1 turnover. Florida State had 5. You're not going to beat even average teams when you do that. But the point being, and then you saw what Louisville did to Kentucky. Kentucky, who by the way beat Ole Miss, it hung with Georgia. Louisville beat the brakes off them.
That's right.
The ACC ain't bad, man. And it's just crazy. I saw there was some idiot on Twitter that was saying if SMU played Georgia, they would lose by 40. Buddy, SMU would beat Georgia Tech. Did Georgia Tech lose by 40? Yeah, it's just it's
a TCU thing, and it's not fair.
But Georgia, it was a Georgia fan that just saw his team need 8 overtimes to beat a middle of the pack ACC team, and then he's saying the best team in the ACC would lose by 40 to that same team. It's just insane bull junk.
Yes, thank you for sparing me having.
I know. I was my Dion. I was getting my Dion on. Shout out to my man Prime. Got his team to 9 wins. I'm a Heisman voter, so I'm not allowed to give away who I'm going to vote. But probably somebody on that team is going to finish high on my list. And congratulations to that program and that team. That's fun to see. It's
absurd. His stat. I know he played both ways. Like, listen, I get it. Dude, he has 1,152 receiving yards and 14 touchdowns. He caught 92 passes.
And that's his second best position.
It's incredible.
That's probably not what he's going to play at the NFL. He's going to be a corner.
Gosh.
Yeah.
My gosh.
But hey, he can't win the Thorpe.
No.
It would have been awesome if he won the Thorpe and the Blitnikoff.
Yeah.
But then they would have given the Heisman to Cam Ward. It's always the best one of the best quarterbacks. Right. But he's a very, very good football player. So is the Colorado quarterback, by the way. He is an exceptional football player. So, yeah, good for them. That's fun. They were bad for a long time. It's good that they had a nice season. Doesn't look like they're going to make it. Also, real quick before we go, shout out to our man Dilly.
Your guy, Dilly. I'm not going to pretend. I don't got any animus against him, but I'm not going to hop on the bandwagon and be that guy. Wasn't
he is? If you just think about it,
he's done a remarkable job, though. I'm not taking anything away from what he's done.
I mean, in the sense of that he's probably mostly responsible for Jordan Travis. So if you think of it from that perspective, through that lens.
You pushed back on this like 3 days ago on the show, Corey, but I agree with what you're saying right now. Yes, I think he's primarily responsible for the development of Jordan Travis.
Oh, I didn't mean I think he, like somebody pointed out, I've always said this. I don't know that I meant to push back on it. I definitely didn't. That he's the one that liked Travis more than Norvell did at the beginning. He's the one that said all those glowing things about Jordan during 2020.
Yeah, whenever we would try to ask him about Mackenzie Milton, he would just immediately shift it to Jordan Travis.
Norvell, I truly believe, is the one that decided to roll with Mackenzie Milton against Jacksonville State and against Wake, and then he learned his lesson. Like I think Dilly was always on board the Jordan Travis train, and eventually Norvell saw the light. So yes, but that's why I give Dilly credit, is that he saw the light in Jordan before anybody else did, and he's now
going to the playoff. If he
one
wins,
win away from the playoff.
Good for him, man. No, I'm happy for him. I don't want to pretend like I saw this coming or I thought he was going to be some smashing success, because I did not. But I am happy for him because it's incredible. He went home. That's awesome. I always root for dudes that are able to go home and uplift the programs they either played for, rooted for, or what have you. So good for Dilly.
Amen,
right.
brother. Amen.
Not sure our schedule for the rest of the week, but Jeff Cameron Show, 1 to 4 o'clock coming up. Be on the lookout for our signing day coverage plans. And I don't know, Corey, it's the lady's birthday this week, so we'll be heading out of town for a day or two towards the end of the week. So we might not have 5 full shows. Might have to pick and choose our spots. Might be some unconventional programming, maybe just some 15-minute. We react to so-and-so being hired, so-and-so being gone, so-and-so, so-and-soing. So
I just want to let everybody know that I did record a show on Stephanie's birthday.
Oh, okay.
But I care about you guys and our product. So just want to throw that out there. But young love, I get it, Aslan. I get it. I've been 7 years in. I actually forgot our birthday, so I can't really say that's not true. I didn't forget it, but it's different when you've been dating or married than when you're first in the young throes of passion. So I get it. We'll see what the week takes us. There could be a lot of announcements and a lot of things to talk about, though, but we'll figure it out.
All this to say, you should be subscribing to our podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. You should subscribe to it, because that way you'll get your notifications whenever we drop a show. Same thing applies to all you that listen to us on YouTube. Subscribe on the YouTube side of things. You'll get a notification when the show drops, which, by the way, is midnight every single time, so Eastern time. So you should know about that, obviously. All right, we will do a drawing at some point this week to give away a Cummins portable generator or portable power station based on whatever your preference is, everybody. So be on the lookout for that. Not sure we're going to do a full mailbag, but we'll be doing programming because there's going to be a lot going on with Florida State, especially the Florida State football team. Is basketball playing this week, Corey? Hoops?
Yeah, they play Tuesday at LSU as part of the SEC ACC Challenge. And quick shout-out to the women's team. They won all 3 games down wherever, I don't know what they're, Virgin Islands. They were some sunny destination. And Tanaya Latson had 30 in one game, 32 maybe. And then in the final game, she had a triple-double. 24, 10, and 10, because she is legitimately one of the best players in the country. And it's cool that Florida State has her and that she's still here, and she's awesome. And they're a good team. They're like 8 or 9 and 1. They're ranked. One of the better teams on campus. So congrats to them.
Shout out to women's volleyball team. They'll be playing in Omaha, Nebraska in the opening round of the national tournament. They are a 7 seed. They'll be taking on Ole Miss.
Okay.
So
come and get some, Rebels.
Yeah, there we go. So everyone's doing great. Football is going to be back soon, everybody. Immediate and fast is what your head football coach said, everybody.
That's right.
He wouldn't lie. He wouldn't lie. It's Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. Thanks so much for listening. He's Corey Malzahn. Stay connected to warchant.com, the ultimate Seminoles sports source. Again, Jeff Cameron Show, 1 to 4 o'clock. Do it.